Let me back up a sec. You ever have a day start out so damn normal you could set your watch by it, only to have your whole life flipped upside down by one sentence from a stranger? Yeah, that happened. And if you told me a Tuesday lunch shift at the Gilded Sparrow would be the day a billionaire dropped to his knees because of Mayo Waitress barely holding it together in downtown Boston, I'd have laughed in your face. But that's how fate works, right? It doesn't care if you're ready. So, there I was, working my regular rhythm water glasses, clean forks, a nod here, a smile, the redoing my best to stay invisible, which for me was pretty much an art form. You know what I mean? When you don't have a fancy last name or a safety net, invisibility is the only shield you get. But on this particular Tuesday, it was like every mask got ripped off all at once. Table 9 was my last stop before break. I recognized them instantly, the Davenports. Even the staff talked about them in whispers. The mother, Elenina, had this old-school, regal vipearls posture, the kind of woman who looks like she never leave the house without a silk scarf and a heavy secret. And her son, Alistair Davenport now, he was a living headline, all business, ice cold, thumb glued to his phone. A man you don't want to disappoint and definitely don't want to cross. I asked if they needed anything else. Alistair grunted, didn't even look up, but the old woman, she stared at me with these pale blue eyes, soft at first, then suddenly sharp like she saw right through me. The whole place faded out, every sound, every face just gone. It was just me and her, and for a split second I swear my heart stopped. You have my daughter's eyes. She said it so quietly, but I heard it like a gunshot. Next thing I know, her hand around my wrist tight, strong, desperate. I tried to pull away, but she held on, searching my face like I was some puzzle piece she'd been missing her whole life. Alistair finally noticed, snapped at her to let me go, but when he looked at me, something in his face just broke. He went sheet white, his breath caught, and right there Bamum dropped hard. The whole room erupted, chaos everywhere, dishes smashing, people shouting. I was frozen, still in her grip, the old woman shrieking. Paramedics flew in, hustled him out, everyone staring at me like I'd set off a bomb. The manager tried to calm things down, but nothing could fix what had already happened. Back at my apartment, my roommate Sophia could tell something was off the second I walked in. I spilled everything how the woman said I had her daughter's eyes, the billionaire's collapse, the way I felt like a ghost had tapped me on the shoulder. Sophia, always the straight shooter, just stared at me and said, "That's some movie stuff, Elle." Yeah, no kidding. Next afternoon, I get a call from a guy named Marcus Thorne, Davenport's head lawyer. He wants to meet, not at his office, but a private suite at the Four Seasons. You ever get the feeling you're being swept into something way bigger than yourself? Because stepping into that suite, that's exactly how I felt. Elenina was there, looking frail but determined, Marcus looming in the background like a sentry. She thanked me for coming and said her son was stable, but the shock had nearly killed him. Then, straight to the point, she tells me her daughter Lillian vanished 25 years ago after a fight with the family over a guy. She walked out one night, never came back. Officially dead, but her mother never believed it. "A mother knows," she whispered, and damn if I didn't feel that in my bones. Marcus chimed in, Zaid, they'd done their homework on me. My foster care file, the lack of real records on my parents, the story I'd been told about a car accident, none of it added up. "We believe you're Lillian's daughter," he said. My stomach dropped. I wanted to argue, to laugh, to run anything but sit there. But when they offered a DNA test with $100,000 just for agreeing and a promise that if I was family, I'd never struggle again, I'll admit, I hesitated. It wasn't just the money, though God knows I could use it. It was the chance, maybe the only one, to find out who I actually was. Sophia, and I stared at the contract for hours that night. "You could change your whole life, Elle," she said, but I barely heard her. It wasn't about cash, Anna Marie, it was about truth. So I called Marcus. The DNA test was quick cheek swabs, nervous smiles, sterile clinic lights. The Davenports wired the money before the results even came in. I felt like I was walking on the moon weightless, but not exactly free. Days blurred together. I visited the Davenport mansion, met Elenina in her orchid-filled conservatory, saw the family portraits, one of Lillian, my supposed mother, bold and beautiful and alive on canvas, staring at me with eyes that could have been my own. We talked for hours about Lillian, about her wild heart, her passion for justice, her battles with her brother and father, her doomed romance with an artist named James, and a man named Richard Sterling, dangerous, ruthless, the kind of guy who leaves scars, not memories. And the twist? As the week dragged on, weird things started happening. A black sedan parked outside my building for days. Someone yanked my bag off my shoulder on the way home, didn't take the cash, just the old silver locket Elenina had given me, a memento from Lillian. Marcus freaked when I told him. Said it wasn't a random mugging. Someone was sending a message. Suddenly, I was living in a gilded cage, security everywhere. My world shrunk to hotel walls and whispered phone calls. The DNA results came in. Marcus, Elenina, and I sat in that suite, the air so thick you could slice it. It's a match, Marcus finally said. You're Lillian's daughter. Elenina broke down, crying, calling me her granddaughter. Me? I was stunned. I finally belonged somewhere, but in that same breath, I realized someone out there wanted to make sure I stayed lost. Here's where things get wild. Marcus dug deeper, connected the dots, and found that Richard Sterling guy Lillian had run from was now a real estate kingpin with a private army. My appearance had triggered something dark, old secrets bubbling up from the past. The mugging, the surveillance site all pointed to Sterling trying to erase any trace of Lillian and now me. As all this hit, another twist landed. We found an old photo, mailed with no return address, Lillian handing a baby me to a woman outside a Vermont church street. Jude's Danville scrawled on the back. With Marcus, I traced the woman Catherine Ollie, my first foster mother, realized Lillian had given me up to protect me, while she stayed to fight. That burned cabin, those lost records, it wasn't just a disappearance. It was a cover-up, and Sterling was behind it. And just when I thought the worst was over, we learned Sterling's thugs were staking out my apartment waiting for me to come home. But Sophia was there. That was the last straw. I told Marcus, no more running. I'd go in. I'd wear a wire. I'd face Sterling myself. Because some battles are just yours to fight, even when they scare you senseless. Walking into that apartment, seeing Sophia terrified, but alive, and Sterling looming over her, I felt all my fear burn up into something fierce. Her story is going to be told, I said, loud enough for Marcus and the cops outside to hear. Sterling pulled a gun, tried to bluff his way out, but it was over. SWAT came crashing through. Shots fired. Alistair himself, pale but steady, dropped Sterling with a bullet to the shoulder. For Lillian, he said. That was it. The monster from our past was finished. In the end, Sterling confessed. They found Lillian's remains by that cabin, closed the file for good. The Davenports, for all their power, finally got the one thing money can't buy, a chance to make it right. I started a foundation in Lillian's name, helping women escape violence and start over, just like she wanted for me. Alistair devoted his days to the cause, and Elenina, well, she finally slept at night. I'd love to say everything got tied up neat and clean, but life's messier than that. The past still echoes. The scars don't vanish. But I'm not running anymore. I'm not invisible. I'm Emma Vance, daughter of Lillian, granddaughter of Elenina, and for the first time, I know exactly who I am. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line between justice and revenge? What would you risk to find out who you really are? Drop your thoughts below. Was the Davenport family owed a second chance? Or did they just buy their way out of guilt? If this story hit you, share it, leave a comment, tell me what shocked you most. And hey, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because sometimes the truth isn't just stranger than fiction, it's a hell of a lot more satisfying.